Hello there. Who are you? Based on your vibe, a bad boy. Your shirt is tucked in. You're not here to be ogled, but those eyes. Yowza. You like to sit in silence. Okay, I'll bite. You fidget your fingers. Ugh, those nails. You obviously chew them. Now, you're not the standard all over the girls type. You'll not be the first for words. Oh, and that's when you murmur your first word to me.
What the fuck?
Today I am here with our guest, my husband, Vincent Mariko.
Hello.
We will be talking about the Netflix original series, You. So this one we're going to be mostly just talking about the first season. The first season follows a guy named Joe Goldberg, a bookstore manager in New York who meets Guinevere Beck, an aspiring writer that he becomes immediately infatuated with. To feed his obsession, he soon turns to social media and technology to track her presence and eliminate any possible obstacles that stand in the way of their romance. So, Vincent, what did you think of this show that we sat and binge watched this last week?
Honestly, I really actually liked the show. I thought it was very well written. It was written very smart, and it was something that you couldn't predict anything that happened in the film or in the TV show. Excuse me. Usually with TV shows, you can kind of see what's going to happen, and you can sit there and go, yeah, I bet you this is going to happen next. You really couldn't do that in this show because just when you think you had all the answers, they changed the questions on you. And you're just sitting there like, okay. You couldn't really do anything except for just watch everything happen, really.
I definitely really liked the fact that in this show, like he said, you couldn't really tell what was going to happen. Like, you were mostly sitting on the edge of your seat. The script was really well written. I love the fact that when it comes to certain points in the show that, like you have a scene that's set up and you're sitting there thinking, okay, how did he get away with some of the things that he got away with? And it's explained in there, and it was very well explained how he got away with some of the stuff that he did. Just so you know, there is going to be some spoilers. So if you guys have not seen the show or are looking to see it and don't want spoilers, I would not watch beyond this. But other than that, we will be doing some spoilers. So out of the show, what was your favorite part, you would say?
I think it's not so much of my favorite part. It's just the fact that you saw character development from the first episode with Joe Goldberg, Guinevere Beck, but then you also saw her friends, and you saw the type of personalities that they exhibit and how they fit into the overall scheme of the relationship. I had to do that because it was it's not as your traditional relationship, as you'll find out.
But and then the first episode it's not even the relationship yet. It's the built up where you got pretty much this guy who works in this bookstore. He's standing there, stocking books, and a young woman comes in. He notices her from afar, her looks and everything. So you start getting an insight because a lot of the dialogue is mostly coming from his thoughts and what he is thinking, and
like an inner monologue.
Yeah, you get a lot more inner monologue in this. So, from that first episode, you find out that, as soon as she comes into the store, he falls in love with her almost immediately. So then he just becomes obsessed with just stalking her, finding out everything he needs to know about her, between, her stealing her cell phone and, looking into her laptop and finding all that, which is pretty intense and like you said, not a normal relationship.
Well, the thing about it also is the fact that as soon as she walked in, he noticed her. It's almost like, I see what I want. I gotta have it. I gotta have her. And if you also see that it's a case of, if I can't have her, ain't nobody going to.
Yeah.
And as you'll see within the first 3 episodes, he's not trying to go for the kill right away. What he's doing is
trying to find out everything he needs to know.
Yeah, he's observing her habits, what she does, who she's with. He's going through her Twitter, her Instagram, her Facebook, trying to get every information. And with every piece of information that he gets, his inner monologue is telling you, how that applies. And also he uses a lot of like movie references in terms of, the movies will sit there and tell you this is the kind of love or the whatnot. And
he was really big into books, so he would quote some stuff from some writers like Ernest Hemingway and stuff like that.
Oh, most definitely. And the thing is, what I could never understand is how in the hell did he never get caught?
Yeah.
Just standing outside her window, watching her undress, watching her.
He definitely made it not obvious. He didn't hide. He's just standing there, just looking at her like, okay.
He's watching her movements, watching her, undress, watching what she's doing, watching her do private things. We'll say that.
Yeah.
And the entire time, he's just in his mind, his inner monologue is speaking for him to the viewers. And it's really weird because I think one of the most surprising things for me is when he swiped her debit card in the first episode just for her to pay for the book, he got her name, how easy it was for him to get all the information that he was looking for.
He was very detailed. In other words, like he looked for the littlest things that I guess a lot of people wouldn't just think of right off the bat. He was very thorough, yeah. And then early on, and that even in that first episode, we meet another very, very happy character that we all love, Benji. What's your thoughts on Benji? Love is a very strong word.
Love is a very strong word, and I don't think it applies to him. He's one of those characters, from the moment that you see him, you just know he's a total toolbox, to be honest. He's not even a tool. He's the toolbox, because he's every... I don't want to say stereotype, but stereotypically, he's everything that most women would sit there and trash a guy for. He's obsessive. He's narcissistic. He's arrogant. He thinks, that, the blood in my veins is better than yours. He thinks he's all that in a bag of chips with the dip on the side. But in all reality, he's a jerk. He's a jerk. He's a cokehead. He's oblivious, and he's also a user of people. A
cheater.
I don't know so much about the cheating. It's the fact that he was just using Guinevere for sex, but couldn't even do that right.
So we meet characters throughout this show that we either love or we hate. Like Benji is obviously not a very favorite character,
and there's no in between either.
Yeah, no, there's not.
You either love a character or you hate him. There's no like.
And then you later on meet Guinevere's friends, who we get to learn a little bit about, like one of her really close best friends, Peach Salinger. Sorry. Yeah, Peach Salinger. And then you had was it Annika. And then her other friend there that was can't think of her name, but she did she drank a lot of alcohol.
No, that would be Annika.
No, that was Annika. Annika was the one that was all about Instagram. But yeah, so you meet like her friends and get to know them a little bit more. And then you later on find out one thing that you don't, it's like literally in the middle of the season where you find out about her, in the beginning, it's portrayed that her father was killed. But later on, he died of an overdose.
Yeah. Later
on, we find out that wasn't so much the case. Secrets are unraveled, and you start to learn a little bit more about Guinevere's character, or as they would call her in the show, Beck.
Yes, but you also, one thing I wanted to make point of is when you see the interaction with her and her friends, it's almost it's a unique friendship that she has with each and every one of them. One of the things I've noticed is because they're all either rich or they're
very popular.
Very popular. And one of the personality traits, you see a lot of different personality traits, not just with Beck, not just with her friends, but with Joe, but with her friends. One of the things is most of them are either well-to-do or they're just rich or they just, they're very successful. One of the things you see real quick is like a lot of people in that position, especially the young ones, if it's not happening to them, the success, then they can't be happy and they try to just cut them down. If you're worth, like with one character, if you're only worth like $500,000, then you find out that your friend here is now worth $6.5 million. Then all of a sudden it's like, oh no, I can't have that. And they will do everything in their power, Peach in particular, to just knock you back down to below her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you learn a lot more about her friends too. And like you said, with Joe as well. Like Joe, it's so hard because you watch this show and you want to hate Joe. But at times, it's like when
It's easy to not hate him.
It's easy not to. Like, okay, so here's one spoiler. You have the scene where he finds out about Benji. So Benji's death scene. Find out a little bit more about Benji. And you're sitting here, he kidnaps him, puts him in what you call his glass box that he keeps all his
rare books and collectibles.
Rare books and collectibles. He locks them up in there, and he keeps them in there for quite a while. And you're sitting there thinking he's just going to be this jealous guy that's, oh, well, you can't have her. She's mine. But then when you find out a little bit more about Benji's character and the reason why he ends up killing him, which I have to say was the most unique way that they did it. But, like I even told you, watching that scene when he dies, he has a peanut allergy. So he's trusting Joe for the most part, feeding his mind with all of these lies about Guinevere, that she's just this trashy girl, like she's got no class. And he's going to keep him
alive another day. So he'll tell Joe whatever he wants to hear. Because really what Joe wants to hear deep down is something negative about this girl. And he doesn't ever come out and say that, but you can just tell because he starts to believe some of the bullcrap that's told to him. That she's a user, that it's all just for show, that she did it to him, that, I was just her showman in a sense. I was there as, just someone to say, hey, I'm with this guy.
But then when he realizes that's not the case and she's the total opposite of how Benji's portraying her, it's when he starts to get a little
desperate,
but he also gets a little bit to the point where he's like, okay, I got to get rid of this guy. And, you start to find out some secrets about Benji, like the fact that, he had killed a minor, drowned him.
I don't know if that was a minor. It was college hazing.
Yeah, and he videoed it. So this guy was obviously a bad guy from the beginning. So Joe did anything, you sit there thinking, oh, well, he was only just getting rid of him because, well, we don't need this guy. He's a complete asshole. So at times it's like you want to hate Joe because he's a murderer, he's a stalker, this is
and he's very impulsive.
But at times it's like it's hard. You kind of start to root for the bad guy at times.
To a point, but one of the things is the more that you see the relationship, because you got to also remember, very early on, he makes his move. He follows her down to Greenwich Village, and basically she gets, wasted and is standing there waiting for the train and falls into the tracks and doesn't really want to get up. Well, he's there to be the knight in shining armor. Picks her up, but then grabs her phone because she's drunk. She can't see anything. She's not paying attention. And the entire time, he's watching her emails, her Facebook, and that's how it starts. And he gets his information that way. And because he has all this, in a sense, inside information, he knows what to say and what to do. He comes off as Mr. Perfect.
Exactly. He makes himself out to be this really great guy, which behind all that, he's
but it's also like I told you, she's fragile minded, and not to be mean when I say it like this, she's weak. She is going through a lot of her own personal struggles with school and her friends, the issues with her family, which do come up, and everything else. It's almost like he's aware of that and he preys on that. He's not going to go after the girl who is fundamentally sound and of normal reason.
He wants to find that girl that he can
manipulate.
Not so much manipulate. Like he feels like he can fix.
Fix to a point. I mean, it's still manipulation when you think about it, because he's, you're building her back up, but you're building her to what you want her to be, not what she needs to be. So there'll always be that control factor on her. It's almost like he's the puppet master.
Yeah.
Dance.
But as you see, though, pretty much like with Benji's character, you don't feel any kind of remorse for it, because it's like, well, you know what? He was this bad guy. He wasn't just
a hindrance. He was one of those characters, and just one of those people in general, that you wouldn't feel bad if they ever went away. And at first she worries about him because she stops hearing from him. But then when Joe, who grabs Benji's phone and just starts making random tweets about being with these hookers and with all the coke and heroin in the world, all of a sudden she gets pissed, because it's like, you blew me off for that. And then you don't even get in contact with me.
Pretty much breaks up with him, and he's not, so it's almost like...
Persona non grata.
Yeah, he's just gone out of the picture. And then later on, like we were saying, you get to develop the Francis characters. One of the very, very interesting character was, like we said, Peach. Later on, you find out Peach isn't just your typical...
socialite. That's what she
her best friend who is out there to be there by her side when she needs her. Like you said earlier, she was,
the manipulative bitch.
Yeah, pretty much.
Who will undercut everybody.
Because you have the scene where she's, they throw her... Oh, she's getting a book signing by somebody in the... She was going to get a book signing from the guy, one of the teachers from the college that she was at. But then Peach was like, well, you should have told me. I know somebody, I have my connections, because she's rich, so she's got all these connections, that she can get one of these big time publishers to publish her poem or book. So she throws her this party inside Joe's his bookstore. They throw a little party, and you find out that Peach didn't do that to be this nice friend who wants to set her up for success. She did it to tear her down. She wanted this publisher to pretty much tell her that she was
great, even though he had no intentions of ever
signing her, on a contract of publishing her book. And then, that's when Joe does a little bit more digging on Peach, and we find out that later on that she's
just as bad as Benji.
Just as bad, but
her main thing is blackmail.
She was about blackmail, but she had this obsession for...
Oh, we'll get to that in a minute. We'll get to that in a minute. That's a big one.
But she does do a lot of blackmail, because earlier on you find out that Annika, Joe tries to basically tear down Peach, because he never liked her from the beginning, by finding a picture of Annika with Peach back in their high school days, and Peach has got this really huge nose. It was before her nose job. Tells her, oh, you just should post it on your social media. Like, why should you have to listen to Peach by not doing it? So when she does this, it backfires, and because Peach knows these connections and knows what to do, she blasted Annika on social media, and a video where she's drunk and talking crap, and pretty much destroys her reputation. She had a pretty big reputation on social media. Started losing followers and stuff like that. So that's when you also learn a little bit more about how much Peach would go through too.
Well, the other thing is, from the moment that Beck, came around with Joe, Peach from the start was just looking for some reason under the sun to just not like him. And as soon as she caught wind within 30 seconds that this guy is not some dope, that he's pretty intelligent and he's pretty wise to how people are, doesn't realize right away why he's like that, she automatically is suspicious, like most women would be of their friend's new boyfriend.
But yeah, so I mean, honestly, Peach's character pretty much develops, and then you find out she is, not just your average friend, but she's got this obsession for Beck, where it's not just your ordinary. It's almost like the Joe obsession, but in a female aspect where she's in love with her. Joe finds out that she has all these pictures on her laptop that are of, Beck.
Salacious.
Yeah, of Beck not in that much clothing. And that, she, as he would put it, Beck, you have a stalker. Your second stalker. but yeah, like, I mean, honestly, you already don't really care for her to begin with, but as the season goes on, you start to really just hate her before,
well, also
she is.
Well, it also gets to a point where Peach is sitting there just trying every trick in the book to undercut Joe, to the point where now she's starting to get in Beck's head, pretty much saying, "Oh, you don't need him," or why does he matter? You just met him.
But it's like a back and forth thing because they both do it between Joe and Peach.
But he doesn't do it as much right away.
He just calls her out on her shit pretty much. Like,
well, the other thing is also it gets to the point where he's just sitting there watching this all unfold and just says, "You know what? Forget this," and he does something about it. Hence why he took up jogging. Because now he's stalking her, watching her movement to see what she's doing. And it gets to the point where, spoiler alert, he grabs a rock and just one bash right into her head and leaves her, bleeding out
he thinks
on the sidewalk.
Killed her, yeah. Which you come to find out.
Unfortunately, no. Because
no.
He gets the call saying that, Peach is in the hospital. And his first response is, she's alive?
Which my thought was, why would you say that if you, how did she not notice that? But yeah, so I mean, and then obviously you got other characters that we forgot to mention where, this basically the characters that set you up to not kind of hate Joe, because you have
Paco is the only one I can think of.
Yeah.
Who's a 12-year-old boy who lives in the same apartment.
Right next door, who has, his mother and her abusive boyfriend, who you find out is a
parole officer who knows the law, and he from the start does not like Joe because Joe will give Paco a new book to read every once in a while, and
But that's why you love Joe, because Joe's,
as much of a prick as he can be and creep, and it is creeper status,
he really cares for the kids.
Yes.
He does everything he can to protect Paco, or like later on he tries to get his mom out of that situation because she does drugs too, tries to get her out of that situation, and it's hard to hate him at times, but you still got that creepiness. But yeah.
I mean, it got to a point even where Ron, the abusive boyfriend, calls the cops on Joe because he says, "I don't like you. I know you're up to something, and you're a creep." Like he's anyone to talk. And in the process, Joe gives Paco a list of some things to grab for him. Gasoline, lighter fluid, matches, stuff like that, because he needs to burn a body.
Yeah.
He needs to burn the body of Benji, which is already decomposed and reeks.
Yeah.
And the cops hand him the list, says, "Why would you give a kid this list?" Well, him being a quick thinker and being intelligent says, "Let me show you." Takes him to a garden that's across the street that he tends to and says, "This is to kill the roots so that way I don't get weeds and everything else." But by it's all said and done, the cop's like, sorry to have bothered you. And Ron is now pissed. He says, "I don't give a crap about your goddamn garden. I know you're up to something." He knows that he's up to something, but he's doing that to cover his ass for the fact that he's abusive. He's very cruel to Paco. And you also find out that Ron also has a little bit a little bit of an issue also with Paco because it's almost like, you're in my way of me and your mother kind of thing.
Yeah, so I mean, you get all these like character developments throughout the show where like we said, you either love them or you hate them. And I mean, to basically conclude the series, I mean, it starts getting pretty intense in the last four, pretty much the last four episodes. I mean, you get the situation where their relationship builds up. They get together, they're dating, everything's perfect. You get you got the death of Benji, and then later on you get the death of Peach, and that
Well, let's
just
explain that one because that was something that that was one of those, you're sitting on the edge of your chair going like, okay, what's going on? So basically what had happened was Peach conned, and it was a con job and a half, Beck to come up to her summer mansion up in the Hamptons, I believe it was.
because she was being stalked. This was after the rock collision to the head. She's thinking she's got the stalker. She don't know who it is yet.
So, and then she also attempts a suicide because she's an attention seeker when she realizes that, because
She's losing Beck.
well, she's losing Beck because Joe warned Beck about the publisher just being there to just cut her down. And, of course, she's not going to believe it until she sees it for herself. Then she calls out Peach for being that way, for being a bitch and being a manipulator.
Mm-hmm.
So then what does this chick go home and do? She downs, pills and then writes down what she took and how much of it. And basically what she did was then calls up acting like she's dying. So, of course, Joe and Beck are going to go over there. Joe sees the list and goes, and you can hear his monologue sitting there going like, she took this much of this. This is not even enough to even give her nausea. What the hell? She's not trying to commit suicide. She's just trying to get attention.
Yeah,
so then she goes and hides out in her mansion. And he
she
follows her.
And she takes Beck, too, because, she has to have Beck because Beck is her rock. She needs her there. So, they go up to this mansion. They're staying there. And all of a sudden, Peach does a total 180 up there. Now she's this, she's not on a vegetarian diet. She's now eating pancakes and pizzas. And Beck's like, whoa, this isn't you. This isn't what you do. And then going shopping. And they're doing everything that, doesn't really happen back in this, the city. So, everything's fine. And then you get, Joe that's, obviously.
He sneaks into the mansion and he's hiding. And he's hiding and he's watching and he's trying to find a way to get out. And that's the part where you're like, okay, how is he going to get out of here? And in the time, he's also banged up because he was in a car crash going up to the Hamptons and split his head open.
Yeah.
And he's being delusional. He's seeing somebody else. And in that process, he's trying to hide. Peach has a gun in her purse. So he's trying to get out. But every time he tries to get out that front door, there's somebody getting in the way. Whether it's Peach, Beck, or I forget his name, but the Middle Eastern guy who's friends with both of them, they start to have what looks like an orgy.
But yeah, no, there's just so much that goes on. But, to lead up to her death, it really tears Beck apart,
She leaves.
To the point that they, it tears their relationship apart. So then you go through that for a little bit. He hooks up with another character, Karen Minty, who is just the total opposite of Beck. She is this, very outgoing. She's got her life together. She's not as damaged as she's not damaged at all like Beck. And he's thinking this is how it should be, but he's not entirely happy. So I mean, you got that going, and then later on they get back together, and that's when things just fall apart, like the ending where you get pretty much she finds out everything between all the deaths and
the mementos that he's kept from the people that he stalked. Her cell phone, Benji's cell phone, and his watch. And Benji's teeth, because when he pretty much cremated him in the park, teeth doesn't melt, turn to ash, anything like that. So he kept it in what looked like a petri dish.
But yeah, so I mean, like, she finds all this out, and now everything's changed. I mean, obviously,
it all came together.
everything came together, what was going on. So he comes back to the apartment to find out that she knows everything. Locks her up in his famous glass cage, and
That's underneath the bookstore.
underneath the bookstore, and you got that all going down, and you're thinking what's going to happen, and then lo and behold, as she tries to make her grand escape, it cuts out right there. You don't know what happens. That's just how the season ends.
Well, no, because in the ending, her book did get published.
Oh well, yeah, I forgot. I'm sorry. I'm thinking of the end of the second to the last episode. But yeah, her book does get published because while she was down in that glass cage, she had written her story. But to basically get on Joe's good side to let her out, she pretty much framed her therapist because she had a love affair with him while they were in the middle of their breakup, where she framed him for the deaths of Benji and Peach and just everything that was going on, and that got published. So that's how pretty much Joe got away with everything that he was doing, because she pretty much
Supposedly she died doing this, but I don't think she did because number one, they didn't mention how she died, but then number two,
it pretty much cuts out to where she's running up the stairs. She tries to escape. Paco sees her. He doesn't want nothing to do with it. He just walks off. And Joe's running up the stairs, grabs her, and then it just
blacks out until the final scene.
To the final scene where, you got her inner monologue reading the book that she just published.
But now the weird thing is, this is why I don't know if she's really dead or not. One character that was in the show was Candace. Candace being Joe's previous girlfriend.
Girlfriend, yeah.
That up until the last episode, you thought he killed. Because same situation.
Which is the ending right there, because, after the inner monologue, you see her walk in, and Joe's going on in his inner monologue, like, oh, look at this girl, because you're thinking he's going to fall in love with another girl, and comes to find out it's his ex-girlfriend, and boom.
And his sister says, what, you thought I was dead? We need to talk. And then that's it. That's it for the first season. So that's why I question, is she really dead? Because you thought for the first 9 episodes, really 10 episodes, Candace was dead because same situation. She found out, same thing also, love affair with somebody, and they try to get past it, supposedly, and then he thinks he's killed her. And now she's there standing in the bookstore on the book release of Beck's book posthumously, and now she's standing there. Now it makes you sit there and wonder, okay, what happened? And also, is Beck really dead? Because obviously he couldn't kill his ex-girlfriend, so he couldn't even get that job done. So
yeah, so there's just so much that goes on in this season, the first season alone, and it's a lot. It gets very intense at times, and
it felt like the season went longer than 10 episodes.
Exactly, but and overall, my opinion on this at least the first season, I give the show a solid 10. Because of how well the actors, like you have the actor who plays Joe, I'm trying to think of his name. It is Penn Badgley, who does such a wonderful job portraying the character. And you just got a lot of good actors. You have these actors who either have you loving them or hating them. And I just like the storyline and where they went with this. Like, it was definitely a show that I'm glad I got recommended to watch.
Well, the funny thing also is it's not just him that's in the show, Penn Badgley. You also have Elizabeth Lale, who, if you watched Once Upon a Time, she played Anna in season 5?
Season 4 or 5.
Season 4. The one with all the Frozen characters in it.
Yeah.
And then you have John Stamos, who plays the therapist.
Oh, yes, John Stamos. I call him John Stamos. But yes, John Stamos plays Beck's therapist, Dr. Nikki. And then you just got a lot of great actors in this movie.
They really made you believe that they were their characters.
Exactly. So, honestly, I give it a solid 10. How about you? What did you think overall?
Overall, I thought, as I said in the very beginning of this review, it was written very smart. It had its humorous moments. That little, like, that chuckling moment, like, okay, that was good. The story, solid flow to it. It didn't hang on to one part too long. It was perfect.
It went everywhere and brought it all together.
Pretty much, and from start to finish, but it was primo. I'll give it the old Siskel and Ebert's 2 thumbs up.
But yeah, so that was pretty much our review on the Netflix original You. It's on it's still on Netflix. You also got season 2 that's up there now, which we're gonna be watching this week. So excited! But
and it got picked up for season 3 already.
Oh yes, I did see that too. It is being picked up for a season 3, so that's definitely exciting. So next week we are doing a review for the Turning. It comes out next week. Definitely really excited. Thank you for coming and being part of the review tonight.
Glad I could help.
And everyone, if you like our videos, definitely please subscribe, follow us. You guys have a great night.
I'm stalking you.